Hey everybody, Invisiblekatana here with my review for Maul Shadow Lord. Of course, this is late, to say the least. I'm a little bit behind. Life being life, car accidents, all sorts of insane garbage happening. It was just like, I just want to watch Star Wars. I want to watch my favorite character, who of course we have here in his Clone Wars prison box. And I just didn't want to pose the figure. Like I don't know, you buy some figures and sometimes you realize when you take them out, you're like, dang, you still got plastic on you. That's something. That's life right there. That's the life of a nerd sometimes. So he's just in this box. He's got plastic, like you can't see, just plastic, just like all on the whole body. I was like, dang, I haven't even posed this figure really. That's sad. But we got our Shadow Lord here. I shouldn't really call him the Dark Lord. We can get to that. But I wanted to watch this show. Of course, like everybody, it's Maul. Maul is my favorite character. Darth Maul is my favorite character in all of Star Wars. And I was excited for this show. I couldn't wait to see it. I didn't think, every time something happens where I'm like, oh, I didn't expect that to happen, it seems like a special event, I thought this was going to be a mini series. When it ended, I was actually surprised. I was like, oh, this is just the season 1 to a new series, which is amazing as far as I'm concerned. First off, visuals, insane. It just, every single show is better and better. At the very end of the show, when Vader showed up, there are moments where it's like, he looks so good. Like, of course, that's anything when it comes to technology, video games, movies, whatever. When it's a character that's mostly in black, that's when you can get the best looking characters because you don't have to do nearly as much, and he doesn't move as much. So it's a lot easier to make characters, specifically like Darth Vader, look impeccable. And I was like, this is beautiful. But even outside of him, the way that they did the art, where it's really like watercolor paintings, like especially the backgrounds and stuff, absolutely loved it. I love that. I love the visuals for the lightsabers in this, where they all had like that sort of like, it wasn't the perfect smooth swing that we normally see where it's like really even. It was only at like the very edge. It would have almost like spikes on it coming off the sabers. Love that. And it was specifically for the red lightsabers. I don't think they actually did it for the blue lightsabers, but absolutely love that. Whole show, really, really great. Loved it. Great first season. Can't wait for season 2. Like I said, I thought it was going to be a mini series, so I was shocked at that, but more than excited. I was like, okay, great. Like, because I'm not gonna lie, when I thought it was a mini series deal, I was just waiting for people to start dying off, which some people do. RIP to the our little angry droid. I was like, oh, that was sad. And he even says like, master, and he gets split in half. I was like, oh, they killed the droid. They killed both the brothers. The one dude gets killed trying to save Maul. The other dude does like the crazy 3 stormtrooper kill sacrifice. They kill Cass, which was nuts the way they did that. Because I was like, oh, she just gets dragged off by Vader, and you just hear like a scream and like a crunchy noise or something, and that was it. It wasn't like we don't see a body. It was like, oh, I'm sorry. Once the other body that comes out is Darth Vader, everyone else is dead. Like there's nothing to question. It's not like, well, we didn't see a body, we don't know what happened. It's like, no, she's gone. She's gone. The captain dude, he's probably alive. He goes into the smoke and we never see anything. I'm like, he could live. We didn't see his body. But unfortunately, the smoke included Darth Vader. For her, she's dead. And that sucked because I actually liked her character. I was like, oh, that's rough. That was kind of rough. So she died, and everyone on Maul's team died. Like the guys who betrayed him at the end, where they took the ship, they got blown up in the sky. Everybody else that worked with them, people were just getting blasted left and right. I was like, they just killed everybody. So I was kind of just waiting for that, episode by episode, when I thought it was a mini series, and it was kind of happening, like piece by piece, especially towards the end. They were really ramping it up. And then the old bastard, whole season, I was just like, okay. This is the episode. I think there were like 3 separate episodes where I was like, this is where he dies. Oh, it doesn't happen. Okay, well, maybe he'll die right here. You fight both the Inquisitors. He's got to die right here. It's like, nope. And then Vader shows up and I was like, oh, there's 1 episode left. I know for a fact this dude is not going to make it. And of course they, obviously have to push the element of Maul trying to get his own apprentice. I was like, well, clearly her master's got to go. You push her over the edge. And of course, Maul, love the character. What a twat. Absolute dick move, because I'm like, I don't know. It's Darth Vader. I don't know if they really could have done it, but they could have got a couple hits in on him, like at least a couple of hits. They got one solid hit, and I was like, okay. Other than that, he was just like, wow, just solid, strong swings, and that was it. And it was like, that's Darth Vader. And I have to say, if there is one thing that this show did beyond every single show, I think even more than Clone Wars, despite that show having 8 effing seasons, the fact that they used the Force in the fights so much was one of the best things this show ever did. They fight within the fights, lightsabers. I can't remember like the apprentice's name. I'm gonna call her Darth Talon, I'm gonna be honest. But Talon, like, she was always kicking somebody, like in the middle of a fight. She was always doing like a block, and then she'll do like a nice little jump spin kick. And I was like, I love it. I love seeing that. Maul would use the Force. Obviously Vader, that's like his whole thing. He'll just do a really blunt swing and swing a few times and then just like push you or grab something or choke somebody. He choked Maul. Oh, there are a couple of times where I'm like, well, I know they can't kill Maul, but I'm like, he's just choking people. He's just like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna squeeze you, I'm gonna toss you over here, block this, block that. You know, they drop the whole ceiling on him, and she's just chopping everything up and blocking it all. And I was like, I love this. Everything they did with him, they didn't make him take too many hits, but it was like I can understand how he is fighting against two Jedi. I don't remember the ending of the comic, but I do think in like, you know, Legends canon and all that stuff, I do believe he kills Maul in that comic series where they actually have their fight. But it's Darth Vader, so of course it's like he, you know, they don't have to make it super easy where he just goes through and mows everybody down, but he will have an actual fight, especially if you're going up against two people, one of which being Darth Maul. Like, we don't know about, you know, the short master, but he was a, you know, a Jedi master. But it's like, okay, I can see him actually having to fight for real, but at the same time, he could have just, you know, real quick, or if he just wanted to. I mean, when he does the force push, he pushes 3 people using the force, and then the other 3 people behind them, and everybody fell down. I was like, that's a powerhouse right there. That's when you know you're screwed, where it's like, you're not even fighting us. You just pushed so hard because that's how strong you are. We're like an extra 15 feet behind the people you're fighting, and we all just fell over. And I was like, that's how you know you're screwed. That is how you know. But I loved what they did with Vader. I thought he was super cool. Like I said, visually, I thought he looked amazing. Like, you know, characters in mostly black, just with this art style or technology in general, when you have mostly black, easy to make the character look like almost realistic. Perfect. Like, everything about this show visually was absolutely amazing. So I love that. Love the action. Like I said, them using the force so often in the fights was one of my favorite things. I'm like, they would, you know, 2 clashes, somebody does a spin, it's either a kick coming out, maybe a punch here and there. You know, Maul was taking a few hits straight to the leg. Like, everybody kept hitting him in the leg. I was like, man, that's really interesting. But there was always something extra. It wasn't just lightsabers. They were using the force. They were kicking people. They were using the environment. I love that. I was very excited by that, because I'm like, you really don't see it enough. You know, it's one of those things where we'll get some great stuff in the movies. We'll get some amazing fights. We never see the force used enough, ever. Like, I've been thinking that for years, where I'm just like, you just don't see it enough. You don't see a force push. You don't see even hand-to-hand stuff. But I'm like, hey, just do like a force push or anything like that. So I was super happy with that. The story as a whole, absolutely amazing. You know, of course, Maul comes in. He's trying to do his thing. You know, so the word starts to spread like, hey, we think Maul is here. And you just have one dude who's like, please, robot. Like, please stop. Just stay over there. Just listen to what I'm saying. Please don't do this. Episode after episode. He even gets to the point he has to shut the dude down, which I love the fact that they called him Two Boots. And it was like, maybe I missed it because I did watch like the first 2 or 3 episodes, like close to when the show actually came out. I think when I watched the 3rd episode, it was like right before episode 4 came out. So it was like a decent chunk of time until I actually finished the rest of the show. So I don't remember if they had a scene where they showed that the droid had 2 boots actually on. But when they referenced it, where it was like, you know, those aren't protocol, I was like, oh, that's why they call them 2 boots. And I was like, maybe I just forgot that, because like I said, it had been weeks since I saw like the first couple episodes. But I thought that was super funny. It had been so long, I literally forgot the dude had a son. Because when the Empire actually came in and they showed him, I was thinking he was a new character. And I was like, oh, that's his son. I literally forgot that happened, because that's how long ago I'd seen the first 3 episodes when I was finally catching up. But I thought that was funny. And, you know, them making that joke like, oh, I didn't think you'd recognize me because, you know, I didn't have my shoes on. But the way that they went about the show, where it was just piece by piece, them trying to stop Maul, him doing his thing, either manipulating somebody or just straight up murdering somebody, and he was murdering people like crazy, which was beautiful to watch. But the way they handled all of that, I thought was so well done. And I was like, I'm excited to see it. What happens? And they go piece by piece, and then eventually it's like, you know, I forgive you for shutting me down, and I hope you can forgive me. And then of course everything goes to hell, because of course they bring in the Empire. They even reference the fact that their captain was like straight up dead. It was just like, yeah, she's not on leave, like she's dead. And the dude flat out said that to the Jordan, was like, what do you mean? Like, that's not protocol. It's like, bro, it's the Empire. And I love the fact that they referenced that, where it's like, no, she dead. He just knew. He just said it flat out. It was like, I don't think she's coming back. None of that coy stuff where it's like, you know, younger audiences, it was like, she is dead. You have to explain to your children what that means. Like, if they don't know, they have to find out because of Maul, which, if there was ever a show not to watch for Star Wars, it was this one. I think it was this one. This was the one where it was like, yeah, he cuts up a lot of droids, but also there was one part where he was just like, I have a double-sided lightsaber. And every time that happens, every time there's a show with a double-sided saber, I want to see the same move. I think we all do. Where it's easy. This saber can go way over there and just spin around and just hit like 17 people. And there's a scene where he does it and he just throws it, and it's just like, all 3 of you guys are dead. Takes a little minute. Then he got over there. All of those guys are dead too. And then it just comes right back. And I'm like, beautiful. Every time. It's 100% guaranteed to be an amazing sequence. So it's like, he kills people. a lot. They do it easy with the droids where they can, actually like, stab through the head and stuff, but they kill a lot of people, and I absolutely loved it. So I'm excited to see where that goes moving forward. Merrick doesn't die, so I was like, okay, we'll get to see him again. Yeah, I would assume he's going to pop up again in season 2, so he doesn't get killed off in this. I assume Maul is going to be the one to do it, which just makes it even funnier because obviously Sam Witwer was the one to do his voice in Ahsoka. They got a different person in this, but he was the one that did his voice in Ahsoka. So I was like, okay, let's see how that goes. But loved the whole season. I loved everything they did, and it just got more and more chaotic. As far as all the characters that did live, of course, we have Maul, we have Talon, as I'm going to call her. I guess he wasn't the captain, he was the lieutenant or whatever his role, the main cop. His son is alive, the short dude is alive, and then Two Boots is alive. And then we also got I'm gonna call Paul Bettany's character because I can't remember his. I'm horrible with names, but I'll remember like the people I actually like. So they're officially alive. The captain's alive for sure. They're going to do a very classic, oh, he went into the smoke, but we didn't see a body. He's alive. And so is that woman that protected him that was in the casino. She's also very cool. It was like, okay, she was like, get your hands off me, and just punched the stormtrooper, and everything went to chaos. I was like, I like her. And then of course the defense she had at the end where she took out a couple people, which was a great sequence. It was like a first person mode where you saw like the tip of the gun as she was hitting people. I was like, that's actually really cool. Or blaster, got to be specific sometimes. But I love that sequence. I was like, that looked really cool. And then she blows up the ship, and then we never see her again. And I was like, they definitely didn't kill her either. So the two of them are left on the planet, and they'll be the ones, whatever their story's going to be, for sure, they're going to have some part to play in this second season. So I'm very curious about that, especially with the dad being alive, and they're going to probably, find some way to try to utilize him, just to keep him alive. Because in all honesty, I'd be like, if he does live, you, especially with Vader right there, I'm like, I would be like, he's dead. That's all I got to say. But they're going to write it. He's going to live at least for a little bit. We'll see how that pans out. But I think he's alive, and his friend is alive. His friend, like they even reference it where it was like, yeah, they just kind of, they're friends, and that's really it. But I'm like, there's something. Obviously the connection of they're only alive because of each other, but it does seem like there's a slight extra connection between those two characters. And I love the fact that we barely got the ex-wife in this, but I love that she's a part of the Empire. I'm definitely excited for that because I can't wait to see that. I think she'll probably go to the planet and be like, what the F did you get our son involved in? So for sure, she's showing up in season 2, and that's how they're going to, end up keeping the dad alive. So can't wait to see how that pans out because she's going back for sure. So looking forward to that and seeing what ends up happening with these characters and what we get from season 2, which I would love to say is coming out very soon, but I think we're probably going to have like a year and a half, if not like, 2 full years, unfortunately. But I would hope, especially because it's Darth Maul. He's a fan favorite character for sure. Like I said, my actual favorite character in the entire series. He's a fan favorite. He's my personal favorite. Everybody loves Sam Witwer. He's in like 100 billion things, even if you don't know that he's in there. Somewhere he's in there. He was Merrick and Ahsoka. It was like he'll just pop up as a voice somewhere in some way, shape, or form. He was that one droid in Andor that actually got Andor arrested and sent to the prison. He's just popping up because he's a huge Star Wars fan. Everybody likes him. So somewhere in there, they're already working on season 2 is my hope, where they were just like, it's Maul, we got in the back. I hope that's what they did, and they were like, it's done, let's instantly start season 2. That's my hope. But I hope we don't have to wait too long for it. I think the show was absolutely phenomenal. I love the action. I do wish if there's anyone I wish lived, it was cast, because I was just and of course Mandalorians are actually my favorite thing in all of Star Wars, which is why Darth Maul doing everything he did on Mandalore is like, this is some of the best thing I couldn't ask for more to have Darth Maul, like the actual last 4 episodes of Clone Wars. I don't think I could ask for anything more than that personally, outside of some of the stuff we actually got in The Mandalorian, it being in live action. So it looked, just look cool in a brand new way. And that's about it. But Darth Maul was always involved in some stuff where I was like, man, favorite character, just doing some of my favorite stuff. He's on my favorite planet, just dealing with my favorite characters. I love all the Mandalorian costumes and everything. So all of that, the Darksaber, literally my favorite weapon in Star Wars. I would love to see that come back. If they just if there's anything I hope they do in Mandalorian and Grogu, if they're just like, we're just resetting this, just reset what they did with the Darksaber. Just if they're making a new one, just be like, we just made it look like the old one. I'm fine. That's like the one pass I'll give you, is just redo that exact same thing and just bring it right back. I'm like, sure. Didn't like what they did with with Grogu and all that, but if they want to do that for the actual Darksaber and just make it look exactly the same and take it right back to the status quo, fine, I'll give you a pass on that one. I'll be like, you know what, all the Grogu stuff, it's forgiven. Them being on that weird planet in season 3 where they're just like, yeah, that bird keeps killing the kid, I'm gonna never let that go. That they said the bird got multiple kids, and I'm like, so you guys just stayed on the beach, huh? Stayed on the beach. And I'm a person that like I always defend season 3. I actually love season 3 as a whole, but there's definitely things where I'm just like, I hate everything about that planet. I don't know how they got to the planet. They didn't even have a ship, but they were on a whole new planet. Still a mystery. Still a mystery. Just wanted to point that out. But there's still things I love. And if there's one thing they want to just flash in a pan retcon, they can just make the Darksaber the exact same. Make it look exactly the same. I'm good with that. I'm totally fine. But that has nothing to do with Maul, unless it did, which it shouldn't. But if he made a cameo, it wouldn't make any sense. Actually, yeah. Now I'm thinking timeline-wise, that literally wouldn't make sense. But nah, I'll let his story be what it is. I don't need another retcon for him. I'm good. You can add more story in between. We don't need like a sudden magic super duper resurrection. I'm good with that. But in terms of Maul, Shadow Lord, great series, great action. You know, Sam Witwer's Darth Maul has always been great. Darth Maul being the Shakespearean villain, Sisyphus as well. Just, you know, I love a dark story. And of course, obviously knowing his end, seeing him just try over and over and over again. That is part of why I love his story so much. And it's just sad. It's just a tragic ending, but he's a phenomenal character. So love this first season. I hope we don't have to wait forever to get season 2. I can't wait to see what they do with him having an actual apprentice. I hope, obviously, you know, by the next season, Devin is her current name. I hope that season 2 is where we get it, maybe halfway through. If it's going to be 10 episodes, I could kind of see them waiting, but we also might get a bit of a time skip. Like, that's the hard thing to kind of figure out. Like, are we going to go like straight from this season to season 2 and it's one after the other? Because they go, I would assume, right into that mission to be like, hey, you kill this dude, so now I can take over the Crimson Dawn. It's like, okay, I could see them going right into that, or doing a time skip and just being like, oh, we finally found him. It took months or, you know, whatever. So we'll just have to wait and see for that part. But if they do a bit of a time skip, so we only have to wait a couple of episodes for her to officially get like the Darth Talon name, because I'm sure that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to be like, hey, you need, you know, a Darth name. Like, I'm Maul, you know, Vader, all that good stuff. I will now christen you Darth Talon. Like, that has to be how they're going to do it, where they just change her name. So hopefully we actually get that in season 2. And I still think even beyond that, we could get a lot of extra stuff. And of course, does she live at all? Million questions. Who the F knows? So we'll see what happens with all that going forward. But as of now, Maul Shadow Lord, best looking animated show. My favorite use of what they've done in the actual battles as far as utilizing the Force. Just a Force push is all it takes for me to be like, oh, they know they can do that, huh? That's crazy, because nobody ever effing does it. So I was happy to see that all throughout this season. Do a couple hits, a couple clashes, somebody jump somewhere, push something, pull something down. A lot of use of the Force. Even with Maul, when, you know, he was fighting the Inquisitors and he pretends he's given up, and it was just so that he could like grab what he could to just bring the ceiling down. I'm like, okay, I like seeing this, utilizing the Force, him doing whatever he did. They cut, but it was clearly like some insane power move where he spins and like cuts through the thing at the same time. But all the usage of the Force in the actual battles is one of my favorite things, because it seems so minor, but really go back to every other show, even live action. It does not matter, live action or animated. Animated, you see it way more, of course. You know, if you go through Clone Wars, you will see it. But so often, it's like it'll be like every other couple of fights, they'll do something. Or maybe it'll be like one moment. I feel like Obi-Wan did it quite a bit in Clone Wars, specifically when he was always fighting against like Darth Maul and Savage. Shout out to Savage. I was kind of hoping, I hope we get some reference to him. That was great. The little flashback sequence where you see Maul kind of suffering as he's struggling, and then he goes back into like his dark side element of being like that rage of, this is my target, that's where my power goes. And then it kind of gave him his Force back. Love that. I thought that was great. And it was always interesting, you know, seeing that other element of, you know, dark side characters when they get to that point of being like, my life kind of sucks because of the dark side. But then you can focus that on one person, because typically you probably end up killing your master, or, you know, that's kind of how it goes. But he didn't really get to have that. He lost his brother. He lost, you know, they say it like, I think it was in the first episode or something. It was like, oh, it's this, and this. I hate him. And that's it. That's all it takes. And it's like, yeah, I'm with you. I don't like that guy either. I mean, for a lot of things. So, you know, you want to support the guy, but we all know how it goes. But love watching the journey until that moment. So can't wait for season 2. Of course, we'd love to know what you guys thought of Maul Shadow Lord. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, your least favorite parts about it. Of course, going into a season 2, what would you guys like to see? Would you want any cameos? They kind of kept thinking, well, technically we did get a cameo, especially, you know, at the very end, but he's such a minor character who is literally in like one film, and of course he's in some comics as well. But it was like, okay, yeah, that's super simple. Obviously Vader was like the, you know, ultimate cameo, but you know, if you don't like that type of cameo, you crazy. Like, I don't know what to tell you, like, especially when it's done right, and him just wailing on people, where he's just, like I really got a Return of the Jedi moment when he was fighting the old guy, because they had a couple, like that one particular moment where he hit him like 4 straight times, and I was like, that feels very Return of the Jedi, where it was like just that repeated motion. But man, I love what they did with him, and he was just powerful and just strong and was just choking people and pushing people away. Like I said, a force push where he just knocks down 6 people at once. Well, there's nothing to say, but that's amazing. That's just amazing. So I love the action. I love the unfortunate loss of some of the characters. I was hoping they wouldn't kill the droid either, and it was like, oh, they made it extra sad where he's just like, Master. I'm like, ooh, they got me. I like that little guy. But great show as a whole. Can't wait for season 2. But like I said, we'll love to know your thoughts on it. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.